Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Brewer. Welcome to the Journal's coverage of Election Decision 2020. It is just seconds after 8 p.m. and our polls are now closing across the state of Louisiana and here locally. We're going to be following the races in several parishes. The most contested race in our area is in Natchitoches, where there are 3 candidates vying for the mayor of Natchitoches. And then we have 3 city council positions that are open, and we've seen a good bit of activity in all of those races. We're also covering the results from Red River Parish, Wynn Parish, Jackson Parish, and Sabine Parish. And people who follow the Red River Parish Journal, the Wynn Parish Journal, the Sabine Parish Journal, and the Jackson Parish Journal will be joining in our live feed hosted by the Natchitoches Parish Journal here in Natchitoches. Well, the big race is the ones in Natchitoches. That's the ones getting all the attention and all the press. And usually it takes anywhere from 2 to 15 minutes for the first box, or the first precinct, if you please. This is a combination of the people who voted early at their registrar of voters office and the people who sent in mail ballots. It's the mail ballots and the early ballots. And the interest in a race can be judged by the early participation. And although you don't get the results until that first precinct is complete and counted, but the combination of the early voting and the mail ballots in Natchitoches show much more interest in the race this time around than either in 2016 or 2012. And those were the 2 earlier races that Lee Posey was in as a candidate for mayor, first elected in 2012, and then he was reelected in 2016. And Lee Posey, hoping to keep the string going, so to speak, he is up for reelection this time. Let's go back over the history a little bit. Back in 2012, a total of 4,750 people voted in the mayoral election. But in the early voting, there were almost 2,000 people that voted, a combination of early votings and the mail-ins. So we are looking at 1,988 in 2012. Not quite as much interest early in the 2016 race. There were a total of 1,236 combination early voting and the mail-ins. But this time, so you go from 1988, or just under 2,000, to 1,200, and we come around here to today, we're looking at 2,117 people have cast a ballot in this race, and 569 of them by mail-in. The state of Louisiana made a couple of changes. There's been a lot of talk in the national and the state news about voting by mail and other such, and without getting into all that, let's just say that in Louisiana there is a law that our senior citizens can request and not have to have any justification, just say, I want an early ballot or a mail-in ballot, and you'll be sent one. Other people can request the mail-in ballots also. But in this, the change was the age was lowered to 65. And in addition, that was done, by the way, statewide. And in addition, Secretary of State Carl Ardoin sent a letter to every registered voter age 65 and above. Now, the Red River Parish Journal did a story on that about 4 weeks ago when the letters came out to people in the parish, but they were sent to every voter in the state, every registered voter who was 65 or older, and this was an effort due to the confusion and all with the COVID-19 virus around. It was an effort to spread the word and give the people who initially were the most vulnerable to the virus, give them a chance to vote from the comfort and the safety of their own home. Must have worked a little bit here in Natchitoches Parish, because 569 people did mail in a vote. do not have the results from when Jackson or Sabine parishes on the early voting. However, in Red River Parish, about 125 people over a 2-week period made it to the Registrar of Voters office to cast a ballot. And in addition to that, there were about that many, maybe a few more, of the mail-in ballots that were sent in and received at the registrar's office. And all of those go into the hopper, and all of those are part of what's being accounted for tonight. Let's take a look at something and see if we have any. Doesn't look like it. We don't have any statewide results. The only statewide races were the presidential preference primary. Louisiana years ago got in the president's preferential primaries with a vote in March, and then that kind of they were done a one-up by a whole bunch of other states that got in on the Super Tuesday. And our March election was delayed till today. And the election that was regularly scheduled for April is going to be next month, almost into the fall election period. And the net result is that by the time Louisiana voters had an opportunity to vote either on the Democratic side or the Republican side, but by the time they had an opportunity to vote for nominating somebody for president, just about all the sparkle was taken out of it, because we have on the Republican side, it's assumed that Donald Trump is going to be the nominee, and on the Democratic side, just about everybody has dropped out, and Joe Biden is probably going to be the nominee. But in case you don't remember, it's like playing an oldie but a goodie on the radio station. See if these names ring a bell. Michael Bennet, Michael Bloomberg, Steve Burke, Pete Buttigieg, John Delaney, Tulisa Gabbard, Amy Klobuchar, Devil Patrick, Bernard Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, Elizabeth Warren, Robbie Wells, and Andrew Young. Those are Democrats that long ago dropped out of the race, leaving basically Joe Biden in the race for the Democratic nomination. But still, we have the situation where Louisianans could vote. And guess what? 81% of them so far voted for Joe Biden. That follows the national trend. Let's see. We got a total of 6,400 votes that have been tallied statewide in that presidential primary, and Joe Biden's got 5,200 of them. The next closest would be 351 for Bernie Sanders. Let's look at the other side of the ledger. Donald J. Trump, 97%. The gurus locally and nationally pretty much think Louisiana, when it's all said and done in November, is going to go for Donald Trump. Louisiana went for Donald Trump last time, 2016. So, but just, it's an interesting to look at it, even though really and truly, by this stage in the process of picking a nominee, Louisiana's few votes don't really matter that much. Louisiana's electoral votes, which are total 9, could be a bigger impact in the election when it comes around to the November race. Well, let's take a look and see if we have any results in yet. And scroll down. I'm looking at the Natchitoches page, and we're showing votes for Trump and votes for Joe Biden, but no percentage, a few votes for Bernie Sanders in the presidential primary here in Natchitoches. That first precinct is not in yet. It's probably processing, and the system we're on updates itself every couple of minutes just to let us know what's going on. But still, at this point, we're not showing anything, and this is kind of to be expected. We're 9 minutes, 10 minutes after the polls close, and so we'll probably not have anything. I'm just going to make a quick scan and see if we've got anything in the other parishes. No, we don't. What other parishes are we looking at? Let's take a look over. And no votes in and win yet. What's Sabine look like? You know, this is not this is not a big surprise. It's not unexpected. Let me pick up Jackson Parish just so we cover all. Well, my computer is being it's usually fast pace. No, nothing in yet. We should have in the next few minutes the first votes in, and we'll probably get the votes from Natchitoches Parish first, because of the parishes that we're following tonight, Natchitoches has been the most efficient at getting their early vote count tallied and publicized. Just got to refresh, and we're nowhere yet.
We're still waiting on it.
Still waiting, yeah. It takes them a while, and the way this is done, one of the popular words going around now is quarantine. It's not quite right, but it's sequestered. The people who are processing and counting the early votes and certifying the early votes go into behind closed doors, and it's kind of a lockdown. It's nobody in, nobody out, no communications in and out. And the various poll watchers, the people doing the counting, actually look and open up all the mail ballots and process them to get that, what they now call it, 0 of 1 parishes. And later it'll say 1 of 1 parishes. This is not a precinct by precinct. Used to be they called it the first ballot box, and then also they would call it the first precinct, but it's now different. For instance, it is not one of Natchitoches' 24 voter precincts, so it's a parish-wide thing. So we just have to kind of wait, have to sit and hope we get it right. There is another race in Natchitoches Parish that we are watching in addition to the city races. The mayor's slot is open. There's no incumbent qualified for the village of Powhatan. And Hardrick Rivers is a Democrat. He's running against Jamaica Neal. Neal is no party, registered no party. So we'll be watching that one for the village of Powhatan as the evening goes on. As we mentioned earlier, Red River Winds, Sabine, and Jackson parishes are all just looking for the presidential preference primary. In Red River Parish, there is that 23rd representative district. Each representative district in the state has a member on the Democratic State Central Committee. And this is a multi-parish, but Erica Durr and Jackie Lansdale are seeking to be the Democratic State Central Committee member from District 23. Now that representative District 23 is Representative Kenny Cox's district. I don't think the two are related, but that just so that for reference, when we say District 23, you'll know what geographic area that is, and it does include part of Red River Parish. It includes some of Natchitoches Parish also. There is another race in the village of Florine. They're looking for a chief of police. Jackson Kelvin and Herman Love. Kelvin and Love are the two running for chief of police in Florine. There were several other potential local races in Red River Parish. Aldermen for the village of Martin were to be elected this time. However, there are 3. They run at large, so if 5 people qualify, the 3 top vote getters are elected. But there was only one person qualified. We're back now in January or February when they held the qualifications for this race. And only one person qualified, so that person is considered elected. And then about a month ago, Governor John Bell Edwards had to call a special election. And that special election is going to be held November the 3rd on the same ballot with the presidential, but they will reopen qualifying July the 22nd through the 24th for the local elections and all, and there will be 2 slots available for the village of Martin for aldermen up there. So that's something to look at. And if only 2 qualify, then that will be the 2 that get the seats there. Okay, we're about 15 minutes after 8. Let's see. Mr. Producer, I don't see any results yet. Do you?
Not yet.
Not yet. We might go back and see if there's a surprise brewing on the statewide, and there's not. One thing is interesting, in Louisiana, Bernie Sanders didn't get the traction he did in the rest of the country. As you recall, way back in this whole process, Bernie Sanders was one of the hottest things going, the hottest tickets there were. But this time, Mr. Sanders pulling about 5% of the vote, and Joe Biden pulling 80%. This is what they are electing. They're electing delegates who will attend the National Democratic and the National Republican Convention, and they do have to cast their votes for that particular candidate that wins the state. I believe is the way it is done in Louisiana. It's different in some other states, but I do believe Louisiana is a winner-take-all. President Trump pulling 97% of the ballots, over 18,000 statewide. So there is not much doubt that Mr. Trump will take the presidential primary here in Louisiana. We have some, it's interesting that we're getting some, I understand why. I understand what the chart is showing me. In the 23rd representative district for the Democratic State Central Committee, it shows that Lansdale is out balloting Durr, but those are based upon results from other parishes in the 23rd district, not just Natchitoches Parish, which is the parish we're looking at right now. But otherwise, we still have no results in from that early voting. Quite a good turnout, 2,117 people.
Early in my ballot.
Do we have any information on the local turnout today? I saw a couple of polling places I was coming in with a few vehicles there, but that's by no means as scientific.
Lower than 2012, right around the 2016 levels.
Okay.
For mayor, last time the mayor ran.
Okay. Well, there were a total of 3,386 votes cast in that race in 2016, which was down. Yeah, in the mayor's race. So we'll just have to see now. When we earlier told you that we had 2,117 early and mail votes cast. That is not for any one candidate. It's not just in the mayor's race, but that is in the ballots for all the races. And so we'll have to just wait to see. And that's the hardest part about it, the waiting. Because you know that the results are pretty much done because the ballots have been cast and it's all locked in. They've just got to decide and count who it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably tough. It's probably tough on the candidate. It sure is. But we'll wait and see. And quite frankly, the other parishes that we're following, just not much interest at all in this election. And it's been said by some of the people who know a lot more than I do that the local races power what's going on. If you have lots of races, if you have a very active, hotly contested local race, you can have just one and you'll still get tremendous voter turnout. That very seldom do the statewide races, although you will get a lot of turnout for a statewide race, but very seldom do the statewide races overpower the pulling power of like a mayor's race or a police juror race or a city council race. But there's an exception, always. Those of you who remember back at a decade or so, Edwin Edwards versus David Duke. Extremely hotly contested gubernatorial race. Edwin Edwards won it, but it did bring a lot of people to the polls. And go back even further, 1972, 73, we had Edwin Edwards running for his first office as governor, first time for governor. And he ran against J. Bennett Johnston, who was an incumbent, and that gathered so much momentum and was such I guess you'd say, a landslide of interest, a lot of interest in the race, that it got people all over the state to go out and cast a ballot. Results are very close. Edwin Edwards worked it out, and J. Bennett Johnston had to go home defeated and suffer to take a U.S. Senate seat. So that's the way politics goes sometimes. This is the 2020 Decision 2020 coverage. We are awaiting the first ballot from Natchitoches Parish, and those will probably be, hitting the computer just any time now. Way it works, the count actually takes place at the clerk of court's office, and then they transmit it electronically to Baton Rouge for the Secretary of State's office to receive the vote. And the same goes for each parish. As each precinct is counted locally, then the little cartridge, a computer cartridge, comes in from the voting machine, and those are taken to the clerk's office where they are tallied and reported back. And we've got 24 such precincts here in the parish, and
there's 50 in the parish, 24 in the mayor's race.
I'm sorry, 50 in the parish, 24 in the mayor's race. Okay. We have one box up in Powhatan.
Right.
And that will use those races. The Powhatan races is usually somewhere around 100 to somewhere around 100. There's just a couple of hundred people registered up in Powhatan. So we'll be trying to follow this and that and the other thing. And let me just make a little scan of all the different places and see if we've got anybody reporting anything yet. We do. In the village of Florine, 1 of 1, that's the early vote. In the village of Florine, Herman R. Love, the Democrat, pulling 88%, or 23 votes, against his Republican opponent, Jackson Kelvin. Kelvin has 12%, or 9, so 23 to 3. 23 to 3 is the way it goes. Presidential preference, as we will expect probably for the whole state, Joe Biden with the Democratic vote, 66% in Sabine. Donald Trump with the Republican vote, 98% in Sabine. So we do have actually some hard counts in one of the races that we're following. See if we've got anything from some of the other neighboring parishes in yet.
We've got the early votes in for the city of Natchitoches.
It is. Well, let me get back over.
Early vote of the parish.
Okay, let me get back over to that one.
Yes, and currently Lee Posey is in the lead with 1,063 votes, followed by Ronnie Williams with 974. And
Okay.
David Keys with 80.
So we have a pretty close race.
Village of Powhatan is now decided.
There's 4 percentage points separating them, and those went to David Keys in the mayor's race. Let's see, at Village of Powhatan.
Right below it.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a
And
mayor.
Jamaica Neal for mayor, 67%, but there are only 3 votes cast.
Oh, John.
She got 2 of them, and Hardrick Rivers got 1.
Look at councilman at large in Natchitoches in the city.
Let's
Wow.
see, where are we here?
Don Mims, the incumbent.
Okay, Don Mims is the incumbent in the early vote and the mail ballot combination. He is about 30 votes behind. Betty Sawyer Smith has 51%, or 1,058 votes. Don Mims with 49%, or 1,031.
And a lot of people, John, are interested in District 3. Sylvia Morrow's the incumbent. Look at that
Yeah.
race. They're tied. 2 people.
Are they numbered? Yeah, one point apart.
Yep.
Sylvia Morrow has 44%, or 118. Christopher Pettit, 117, or it's also 44%. Number 3 is Carl Sias with 18 votes, or 7%. 5% going to Demetrius Fruge. Is that the way we pronounce it? And that's 5%, or 13 votes. So other results from the city of Natchitoches, let's see, District 4, where the leading is Rosemary Washington. And
Lawrence Batiste is the incumbent.
Lawrence Batiste is the incumbent. He is now in third place. Rosemary Washington with 34% or 148 votes. James Belo Jr., 28% or 221 votes. And Lawrence Batiste has 23%. He is the incumbent, and he has 98% of the votes. So things are starting to shape up a little bit in Natchitoches Parish. Of course, at the presidential race, as we reported earlier, the margins are the same. Joe Biden with 79% on the Democratic side, Donald Trump with 94% on the Republican side. Bernie Sanders is really the only challenger to Joe Biden in this race. He got 7% or 111 votes. Again, these are precinct number 1.
Yeah, they call it early voting.
Yeah, the early voting. And so here's an interesting thing. I was looking at the totals. Let me check. In the mayor's race, there were 2,117 early votes, and everybody who voted early voted in the mayor's race. There were 2,117 ballots cast in the mayor's race. Not quite as many in councilman at large, and then the districts are going to show less because those are smaller than the total. Well, 400 and
Yes, there's one box out in the village of Powhatan. It hadn't come in. What they have is the early vote.
yes, that is a result of the
Early vote.
early vote or the parish-wide vote. Take a quick check while we're at it. It'll take a couple of minutes before there's another update. Don't expect many surprises anywhere. We do have the early votes in for Red River, and Joe Biden 76%, Donald Trump 98% on his race, and then for the State Central Committee member, Jackie Lansdale with 61% to Erica Durs 39%. Let's see if we've got anything in the presidential primary. We'll switch over to Wynn Parish. And basically the results are the same. On the Republican side, Donald Trump with 98%. On the Democratic side, Joe Biden with 79%. And that's, again, that is not 79% of the votes cast. It's 79% of the Democratic vote cast. And so we don't want to run through that too quickly on you. Let's see, is this going to be, what parish is this going to be? Yeah, Jackson Parish. The story is about the same. We've got on the Republican side, Donald Trump with 97%. On the Democratic side, Joe Biden with 83%. And what have we got anything from Sabine yet? If I've got an update on that Florine, no. All we got is that
early box now.
early box
now, right?
Yes, there's one precinct in the village of Florine, and so 26 people voted early or by mail in the village of Florine. And so it's not that large a town, so we're talking probably maybe a couple of hundred votes at the most in there. So we'll just have to see when that box comes in. It'll probably be later in the evening when that happens. This is based on the way results have come in prior years. We should be getting, though, very soon we should be getting some results, one precinct or two from the city of Natchitoches, because they're not that far for the election commissioners to drive, and it's been just a half an hour since the polls closed. Might mention that we're not very far away from election qualifying. And because the spring elections were moved to July and August, that really kind of jams people's thinking up. And so we have the election today. We'll have the qualifying for the local offices on the 22nd through the 24th of July. And then shortly after, on the, I think it's the 11th of August, we'll have another election. And
if we have any runoff, we'll have a
Yeah,
runoff.
and the
Yeah.
early voting for the August 11th election starts the day after qualifying ends.
On Saturday.
And
So this is all COVID and stuff.
yeah, it's COVID confused. Everybody is pretty much in agreement that the presidential election won't be moved, so we wouldn't expect that to happen. We just have to see how that ends up. But it's something that we'll keep you posted on. Of course, your local parish journal will have the candidates, the races, and things like that. The fact that Red River, Wynn, Jackson, and Sabine Parish had no local elections except for that Village of Florine police chief will not hold in the next election. I do know in Red River Parish there will only be one item on the ballot. And this is for the election of August the 11th, I believe it is. The only election item on the ballot will be a request by the fire department to renew their property tax. The property tax is due to expire, I believe, in 23. However, the fire department is asking for an early renewal. They started asking in January, and it would have been on the ballot the original May, which is now carried over to August 11th. But they're asking that their property tax be renewed for another 10 years. Property taxes go in 10-year increments in the state. And the reason they wanted to do that is to get a more favorable interest rate and to spread out the payments on the big, beautiful new fire station.
Are they asking to do it in perpetuity?
No, it's a 10-year.
10-year.
It's not a one of these forever elections. It's property taxes are 10 years at a time. So the fire department, unless they renew early, they're going to have to pay for that fire station in the next 2 years. And a full 25% of the fire department's operating budget goes for debt service. And if you buy a house, you buy a car, if 25% of your income went to the house note, you probably bought too big a house, right? The fire department hopes to get a more favorable, there were some, a whole bunch of extenuating circumstances why they got into this position they're in now. But if a renewal is granted, then they said back in January that the figures were based on that the payments could be extended not only to 23 but to 2033, and that would just simply allow them to lower the amount.
Update the city. Doesn't have to.
All right, let's take a look. Take a look at the mayor's race first.
We have one precinct of 24
Yep.
reporting.
And Lee Posey has 50% of the vote. 1,064 votes. Ronnie Williams with 46% at 977. David Keys has 80 votes or 4%.
It was precinct 114 that came in,
Mm-hmm.
and Ronnie Williams took 75% of it, or 3 votes.
Okay.
Lee Posey 25% or 1 vote, and David Keys 0. That's precinct 114.
Okay. Precinct 114. At the councilman at large level, that one precinct, not much change there. Betty Sawyer Smith still maintaining 51% of the vote, or 1,061. Don Mims has 49%, or 1,032. Maybe a little bit of narrowing the margin, but that precinct that's in is not a very large box. So
Let's look at that, John. We'll
okay.
drill down on it. In that particular race, 114 came in with 3 votes for Betty Sawyer, or 75%, 1 vote for Don Mims at 25%.
that's about what I figured. District 3, that's not in District 3 though, is it?
No, I can go
No.
there.
But-
No, I don't think it is.
No. So it didn't affect, yeah.
It is for 4.
It is for 4. So District 4 with one precinct in, Rosemary Washington has the lead, 34%, or 149 votes total. 28% for James Bilo Jr., or 122 votes. And Lawrence Baptiste, the incumbent, has 23% of the vote.
As an interesting note, in precinct 114, there were 3 votes cast, and each one of them got 1 vote.
Okay.
33% each.
So no change in the percentages there. Yeah, that precinct 114, pretty small turnout. It looks like maybe 3 or 4 people today.
There was 3 people.
3 people voted. Well, yeah, but you know the people say, well, you could look back and one good thing about Google, you don't have to remember or flip through a lot. I can remember doing elections when we would have books and books and books and old newspaper clippings and all these other reference materials, and now we have Google. So you can look back if you care and get some of the results from there. Nothing in yet, no update on the village of Powhatan, and no update on Council District 3. With a dead heat between Christopher Petit and Sylvia Morrow in that District 3 race in Natchitoches. Sylvia is running for, I believe, her 3rd term, 3rd or 4th.
At least.
She's had several.
She's had several.
Um,
I don't remember.
And so she's the leader by 1 vote. And this all is based on the early voting.
Sure.
So not much of a trend there, but yes, it might be. The Mims camp probably is a little bit disappointed in the early voting. And now with the 1st precinct in, Don Mims has 49%, the incumbent. He's been the councilman at large for about as long as you can remember. I can remember at least 3, maybe 4 terms that Mr. Mims has served that position. But Betty Sawyer Smith came on strong this time and has 51% of the vote. She's going to have some good name recognition because she was very actively involved in that clerk of courts race back in 2016. That was the one Louis Bernard retired, resigned, didn't run again, whatever term you want to put with it. But Louis retired as the clerk of court, and David Stamey, Lou Byers, and Betty Sawyer Smith were the 3 candidates, and in that race, David Stamey won, and he is the incumbent. Of course, the clerk was not up this time.
It was. He didn't draw.
It was? He had, okay. Went in with no opposition. Speaking of that, Districts 1 and District 2 in the city of Natchitoches had no opposition. Dale Nielsen was unopposed. This will be his at least 3rd term for District 2. And Eddie Harrington also was unopposed. And so he is elected for District 1. Now you might remember back in 2016, Eddie Harrington replaced David Stamey because David Stamey was the District 1 city councilman, and David didn't run for District 1. He said he instead ran for that clerk of courts vacancy when Louis Bernard retired. And today Louis Bernard is our senator representing this district, taking the senatorial seat that had been held for a number of years by Gerald Long. So you see how it goes, folks. It just continues on.
Hey, John.
Yes.
We have Dale Nielsen to talk to you.
Hello, Dale. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. John, how are you?
I am great.
Good.
Looks like you got all the votes you needed for tonight.
I got just what I needed.
Well, would you like to say something to the voters?
I just appreciate everybody's support. Just honored to go back in to serve for another term.
Well, as the old saying in politics, you must.
Times we're in, but
Yeah.
we're going to do the best we can to adjust and make it happen.
Well, when you don't pull any opposition, that says something about the performance of the incumbent. So congratulations.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I look forward to a good next 4 years.
Well, yes, sir. You'll be sworn in soon and just keep on going, as they say. Thank you, Dale.
Yep.
Thank you for calling us. You have a great evening.
Yeah.
All right. All right, that was Dale Nielsen. He's District 2 City Councilman who was not opposed, and so that's the easiest race to run, and it does say a lot for a candidate or a public servant when you don't draw any opposition. Let's see what we have here. Let's do a little refresh on this and see if we can pick up anything else. That one box in Powhatan not in yet. We're still showing one precinct in the District 4 race, the councilman at large race, and in the mayor's race
Okay,
here.
I'm gonna hand you to John, okay?
Okay, who we got coming?
Eddie Harrington.
All right, Eddie Harrington, how in the world are you? Hello there. Oh, let me push the. Now you're off mute. Good evening.
Sir, this is Eddie Harrington. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. You also were unopposed, and you will continue to serve the people of District 1, and that is in the very heart, including downtown Natchitoches, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Everything north of Kaiser Avenue on the east side of the river, and including the historic district on the west side of the river as well.
Okay. Like I spoke to Dale Nielsen a minute ago, and basically what I told him, I think it probably applies in your case too. People generally were satisfied with the job you were doing, so congratulations on doing a job that earned yourself re-election with no opposition.
Well, thank you so much. I hope so. I hope everyone's been satisfied, and I'll continue to try to keep it that way.
All right, Eddie. Thank you very much. Thank you for calling us in tonight. That's Eddie Harrington. He is the District 1 councilman he's councilman District 1 for the city of Natchitoches. Let's take a quick little run around, see if we're getting any further update. Let's just go back and take a look at statewide. I know that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion as far as the presidential preference go. Should it matter? And there is some talk that there may be some shuffling in the Democratic Party. Should it matter, Joe Biden is going to carry however many delegates Louisiana has to offer. Statewide, he's got 81% or 47,000 votes. A total of 59,000 Democrats have gone to the polls today across Louisiana, or at least those votes have been counted so far. This is 34 precincts, by the way. For the Republican side, Donald Trump, 96% or 46,000. So based on that, you're talking about 1,200 votes separating the two. If you wanted to go ahead, I love it. If I go out on a real limb and try to extrapolate this out to the whole state and the November election, this and the other thing, boy, you can dig yourself a hole real easy. This is Decision 2020. My name is John Brewer, and we're glad to have you along with us this evening on the Natchitoches Parish Journal, the Red River Parish Journal, the Wynn Parish Journal, the Jackson Parish Journal, and the Sabine Parish Journal. We're trying to cover all of it. This has been a good dry run because in November, we're going to have very active races in each of these parishes. I don't have the exact races that will be open in Jackson, Wynn, and Sabine, but in Red River, you've got the Coshada local races, the mayor and city council. You've got the district attorney. You've got the district judge, and you've got several other positions that are open up there in Coshada. So it's going to be an interesting race in Red River Parish, and also you'll have the alderman in Martin, and I believe in Hall Summit. I could have misremembered that. You can go to the Red River Parish Journal and do a search on it. We did a story on that listing all of the different races that are coming up in Red River in the fall, and those offices, their counterparts in the other parishes will be up as well. We do something in Louisiana that some other states don't do. We tend to spread our elections out. We have a long heritage of having lots of elections in this state. And in recent years, they back in the 70s and 80s, they moved it to where you had 4 election cycles per year. Can you imagine they had more than 4? They moved it down to 4 election cycles per year. Just a few years ago, they made it 2 cycles. We have a cycle in the spring, typically March and April, or March and May, and then again in the fall in November and December.
John, we've got an update in the mayor's race in the city of Natchez.
All right.
3 precincts are now reporting.
Okay, and it looks like Lee Posey is maintaining the lead.
He went up.
Yeah, he did a little bit there. Ronnie, so let's just give you the totals. 54% for Lee Posey, or 3298. Ronnie Williams, 42%, or 1,087. David Keys, still with his 4%, or 99 votes. Let's see,
If you want me to look real quick, I can tell you what precincts came in.
Okay.
It's number 7. It's
Mhm.
1-7, where Lee Posey took 164 votes, or 68%, and Ronnie Williams took 29%, or 69 votes,
Okay.
and David Keys 8 votes for 3%.
So Posey won that one.
Yeah, and then 12, Posey won 77% of the vote, 170 votes.
Mhm.
Mr. Williams is 18% for 41 votes, and Mr. Keys 5% for 11 votes,
Okay.
and then of course the early votes in.
And what is the third? Is there a third precinct there?
7, 12, 14.
Yeah, 14 we reported on earlier. Okay.
Now look down in Don Mims' race. He took the lead.
It did.
He did.
When we had one precinct before, that was precinct 14, now 2 others. Don Mims, the incumbent, councilman at large, so everybody in the city of Natchitoches votes in this race. 53% of the vote for Mr. Mims at 1348, and Betty Sawyer Smith with 47%, or 1185.
Would you like to know those 3 precinct results?
Yes, please.
Okay, and this is at the at-large. Of course, we have box number 7 come in. Don Mims, 153 votes, or 66%.
Okay.
And Betty Sawyer Smith, 79 votes, or 34%.
So that's one of the places Don picked up some ground.
Yes. And in 112, Don Mims with 163 votes, or 78%. And Betty Sawyer Smith, 45 votes, or 22%.
So those 2 boxes helped Don Mims greatly. They did. So we reversed it to where he was behind by about 4 percentage points to where he is ahead by 6%. Let's look at the District 3. District 3, we reported it again. All we have is the early voting. Sylvia Morrow and Christopher Pettit virtually tied. She has 118. He has 117 votes. Let's see, Demetrius Frugua, 5%, or 13, and Carl Doug Sias with 7%, or 18 votes in that District 3. Over in District 4, we have the early voting plus 1 precinct. I believe we reported this one earlier.
Right.
Yeah, 114 was in. Just to repeat, so you know, Rosemary Washington is the independent, or the no-party candidate, 34%, or 149, and James Belo Jr., 28%, or 122. Third place is Lawrence Baptiste with 23%, or 98. So the incumbent has some ground to gain. And just to comment, we keep saying no party. Don't take that as meaning nothing. We used to be called independents. Those people who did not want to be affiliated with a party were independents. But now we've got an independence party. The most famous one in recent history, well, it's not recent history, it's a long time ago, was George Wallace's American Independence Party. So if you or I choose to not register as a member of any party, then we are now no party. And so that's not necessarily that bad a thing. Strange things, the way politics changes from time to time. For those of you who follow elections in Louisiana, there are no hard and fast results. It almost always is this way, but every once in a while somebody will slip something in and something a little unusual will happen. In this race, in the councilman at large in the city of Natchitoches, it was a surprise because Don Mims had been very successful in representing the entire city of Natchitoches. He represents people in every one of the council districts, all 4 of them. He's the 5th member of the council and many times a tying vote, the tie-breaking vote. So to have him right out of the box be trailing considerably to the challenger, Betty Sawyer Smith, was a little bit of a surprise when that early vote came in. But once we get a couple of other precincts, and there have been 3 that reported in addition to the early vote, then Mr. Mims has taken the lead. But it's not over at all in that race. Not over at all. We'll just have to see when the next votes come in if he maintains the lead or if Ms. Smith can, pick up a little bit of ground.
We've got an update in the city of Natchitoches mayor's race.
Okay, I just saw it click in there. Not much change in position. Lee Posey looks like he's down 1%.
He went from 54 to 52.
Yeah, 54 to 50. He's got 52% of the vote, or 1,802 votes. And Ronnie Williams is 44%, or 1,513. So Mr. Williams had 300 votes to make up for a tie.
The precinct, it was 1-2. That's the old Council on Aging that now votes at the Masonic Lodge.
Right.
And that came in with 59 votes for Lee Posey, 76%, 13 votes for Ronnie Williams at 17%, and 6 votes at 8% for David Keys.
Okay.
We also saw 1-5 come in. Ronnie Williams took that 80% of the vote with 44 votes. Posey 20% with 11, and Mr. Keys 0.
Well, we have an update that just clicked in. We now have 11 precincts reporting in Natchitoches. So your overall, here's the current standing. Lee Posey maintains 52% of the vote, or 1,800, and Ronnie Williams 1,513, or 44%. And that is with 11 of 24 precincts. We're going to see them start to tumble in pretty quickly now.
Look at Don Mims. He's maintained his lead.
Let me get down to, scroll down to, or up to. Yes, he is maintaining the lead. We now have 11 precincts reporting. Mims with 52%, or 1,745. Betty Sawyer Smith 48%, or 1,630. And so
Sylvia's pulled ahead with 2 of 5 precincts in.
Let me get that. District 3, Sylvia Morrow. You remember moments ago, she was in a dead heat with Christopher Pettit with 1 vote separating them. But now Sylvia Morrow has 45% for 120. Christopher Pettit has 43%, 117. And there have been a total of almost 30 votes otherwise. So let me re-click here.
In District 4.
My screen just jumped back to who knows where. District 4, we have 6 of 12 precincts reporting, and Rosemary Washington continues her lead. Lawrence Baptiste may be in trouble because we're at better than, well,
halfway.
We're halfway because there are 12 precincts in that district.
And vote.
So Rosemary Washington has 33%, or 229 votes. James Bilo Jr. with 31%, or 215, and Lawrence Baptiste with 20%, or 141. But still, there's not that many votes. If you are a resident of District 4 and you voted today, your vote has more power than it does in the council at large race.
John, why don't you write these down? A lot of people are always interested in what has not come in yet.
Okay.
We're still waiting on Precinct 1, Ward 1, Precinct 1, 1A, 1-3, 3A, 4 and 4A. Precinct 5's in, 5A's in, 6 is in, 7 is in, 8 is in, 9 is in, 9A is in. I think there's some in 10, so we're waiting on 110. There might be 12 votes. There's not any in A or B. 11 is in, 12 is in, 13 is not in, and then 14 is in, and the early vote is in.
Okay. And these are all in Ward 1?
Ward 1, yes.
Okay. So we have some to come in. They're probably going to hit the tally very quickly when we next get a result.
Yeah.
We got an update coming in about
Remember
10
the way it works
seconds.
in our parish, the Ashland and Goldana, they have to drive all those boxes in.
Yes.
In the city, they're much closer, so they tend to process, and we just got an update. We're at 13 of 24.
Okay, I thought I was watching the countdown clock there.
Yes,
For
it
mayor,
looks like
Mayor Lee Posey has 50% of the vote, and Ronnie Williams has 46%. Posey with about a 200, not quite 200 vote lead, 1827 to 1696. Keyes remains with 14% of the vote, but Keyes could be the spoiler, even though he's not pulling that many votes.
Betty Sawyer Smith and Don Mims are, well,
Well, they've
they
done.
both show 50%, but it's about 31 votes.
Yeah, we've got that extra box that just came in, giving us 13
Oh.
precincts.
District 3, Sylvia Morrow just fell behind Christopher Pettit. They only have one precinct left.
Okay, you are right. Christopher Pettit must have had a really good drill down on that last one that just came in. But Pettit has 46% of the vote, or 178. Sylvia Morrow 42%, or 163 votes. We're talking about not a real large turnout in that district because there have been a total of 386 votes. And at this point, 12% of the votes have been siphoned off by Demetrius Fuqua and Carl Doug Sias. So the combination of those two could throw Morrow and Pettit into a runoff.
Good.
And that runoff would be on August the 11th, I believe. Okay. And your early voting starts on the 25th of July
Saturday, 25th.
for 2 weeks.
Oh, is that right this time also?
Oh, it's 2 weeks also. They stretched the period of early voting from 1 week to 2 weeks in order to accommodate as many people as they could. They thought that might make it easier, get more people to vote during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm told that it's Chris Petit.
Petite?
P-A-H-T-E-E-T. Chris.
That's not the way they spell it here.
No, that's the phonetic spelling.
Oh,
It's pronounced Petit.
Petite.
P-A-H-T-E-E-T.
okay. Well, we will thank whoever it was that let us know about that.
Miss Reba.
Okay. But still, so he would be the leader in District 3. We got one precinct to go. And when that one comes in, we'll be able to say that's a wrap on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have we got? In the presidential preference primary, basically no change there. In the Republican side, Donald Trump in the parish with 94%, Joe Biden 78% in the parish there. While we're waiting for an update, let's take a quick little sashay around some of the other parishes. Let's start up with Red River. And what we see is there's only the presidential there. So Donald Trump with 99%. Rocky De La Fuente pulled 2 votes and Bob Ely 1 vote. And Mr. Trump 214 in Red River Parish. Joe Biden has 73% in the Red River Parish presidential preference primary. Look over in Wynn Parish, similar story, 98% for Donald Trump and 79% in the Democratic primary for Joe Biden. Looking at Sabine, let's see if we've got any results on that Florine chief of police race. We do. 1 of 1 is in, and the parish-wide is in, and so that one is in the books, folks. Your new chief of police for the village of Florine is Herman R. Love, the Democrat. He got 97 votes, or 71%, to Jackson Kelvin's 29%, or 40 votes. Total of 137 votes cast there in the village of Florine. In the presidential preferences, Republican Donald Trump with 99% and Joe Biden with 64%. And what other parish, is that the one? I'm clicking on a map. It is Jackson Parish. All they have is the presidential primary. Turnout pretty light in Jackson Parish. Joe Biden 83% and Donald Trump with 97%. And note that the 393 Democrats came out to vote and 347 Republicans in that one. And a quick look over in Wynn Parish, see what we've got over there. Similar story. Mr. Trump on the Republican side with 98% of the vote out of 453 people that voted Republican in Wynn Parish. On the Democratic presidential preference primary, Joe Biden with 80% of the 359 Democrats to turn out. And that's about the way it's gone. Let's see if we can get an update here on Red River, on Natchitoches Parish. And for the city, we're still at 13 precincts. We're still waiting for that one box to come in from Powhatan. The councilman at large with 13%. Let's go ahead and just tell you who's doing what. On the mayor's race for the mayor of Natchitoches, Lee Posey has 50% of the vote. It's 50% plus 1 is what it takes to win it outright. So it's not 51%, it's 50% plus 1 vote. So Lee Posey could probably use a couple of extra to make sure he's got a few spares and not have to go into a runoff. But Ronnie Williams, the Democratic challenger, has 46%, and David Keyes maintains that 4% vote. For the councilman at large, where am I? Don Mims and Betty Sawyer Smith. This is a tough race. They're both showing at 50%, but she's got a few more votes. Ms. Smith with 1,804, Don Mims with 1,769. So we're talking about 45 votes separating the two there, and that is with 13, so we've still got a few precincts to go. District 3, there are now 4 of the 5 precincts reported, just to recap what we said earlier. And Christopher Pettit is leading incumbent Sylvia Morrow with 46% or 178 votes, and Sylvia Morrow has 42% or 163. And then the other two candidates, Sias and Fuqua, have 6% each. Council District 4, we got 6 of 12 precincts, half the vote is in. And the incumbent, Lawrence Baptiste, he's been trailing all night long. He's been in 3rd place, and Baptiste still continues in 3rd with 20%. The opponents, Rosemary Washington has 33, James Belo Jr. has 31%. So what we're looking for, unless there's a change in the percentages there, the runoff next month will be between Rosemary Washington and James Belo to represent the city of Natchitoches in District number 4. And we're just waiting to see if we get our next update, which is they just refreshed, but refreshment didn't mean any new figures. Let me just scroll down quickly. It looks like the same. Yes, we're still waiting for that one precinct. And Bill, do we know which precinct it is in District 3?
I think it's the North Street
Okay.
here, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I don't have my document with me.
Okay. So that would be, and on
If
that
that's
one,
true, that's her box. That's Sylvia.
it would be more of
If
Sylvia's.
that's the one.
Okay. So we will just have to see, but that should be in any time now. As we mentioned, at 8:30, we were sitting here wondering when the vote's going to start coming in, and we're at 9:04, and we're well over half of them have been counted in Red River, in Natchitoches Parish. Again, there's not much to report in the other parishes, Sabine, Jackson, Wynn, or Red River, because the only thing on the ballot, except for that chief of police race in Florine, is the presidential preference primary. While we're waiting for another update, let me zip up on real quick over to the statewide. Statewide, for an election that didn't have much kapow, much excitement, we had 115,000 Democrats turn out and vote, and Joe Biden has 81% of those ballots. We've got 97,000 Republicans turned out, and President Trump has 96% of those. And this is a state that on a good election for governor, when it's really,
All right, John.
tough one, you'll have a lot more than that. And where are we looking at?
District 3 is in, all 5 of 5 precincts,
All right.
and it looks like Christopher Petit
Mm-hmm.
has 237 votes, or 45%, with Sylvia Morrow 228, or 43%. So I
Okay.
guess they will be in a runoff.
That's the way it would look. Sias came in third with 7%, or 39 votes. And
Let's go up to the mayor real quick. 18 of 24. Mr. Posey has fallen behind.
he certainly has. Ronnie Williams has suddenly come up with 50% of the vote at 2091. And Lee Posey, 47%, or 1954. Again, not that many votes, but less than 200 separate the two candidates, about 150 really. And this is out of 4,200 votes cast in the city of Natchitoches in that mayor's race. We still don't have the village of Powhatan in.
Betty Sawyer really changed positions there.
Did.
Council at large.
Yeah, we've now got 18 precincts in, and she has zoomed into a 54% lead. There will be no runoff in this one because it's the number of votes. There's only two candidates. But Betty Smith, 54%, or 2196, and Don Mims with 46%, or
We have
1872.
leadership change in District 4. They have 9 of 12 precincts in. A change in leadership there.
Okay, and the new leader is James Belo Jr. Mr. Baptiste, the incumbent, is still in third place, but we've got James Belo now taking the lead with 32%, or 283 votes. Rosemary Washington has 30%. She's dropped to second with 267 votes. And that, again, is not that many votes separating the two. Lawrence Baptiste, the incumbent councilman, pulling 178, or 43% of the vote. So that one is not over yet. The only one we have in-house, let's see, where is it? Is 5 of 5. That's District 3, and looks like it's going to be a runoff. So Christopher Petit and Sylvia Morrow will be leaving their campaign signs up and probably adding a few more in the district.
Okay, I got a confirmation.
Yes.
113 is the North Street daycare, and that typically was Sylvia Morrow's.
But that
So
was,
it's been settled, so she didn't.
How
That's
did-
the one that throws her over the top.
yeah, how can you drill down on 113 and
We
see
can.
how it went? It looks like it went pretty heavy for Christopher Petit.
Yeah, that's normally the box that she does really well in,
Mhm.
and she won that box,
She did?
46%.
Okay.
But it wasn't enough to
Wasn't enough to
have an
overcome.
outright winner tonight.
Okay. Well, she'll be probably campaigning pretty heavy at that box for the next month, for the August 11th election. And so let's remind everybody that we're going to have a couple of runoffs, and that means that you'll have a 2-week long opportunity, a 2-week window of opportunity from the 25th until whatever 2 weeks, 2 Saturdays later is, to cast your votes early. And we'll at least have a District 3 City Council race there. Do not know if we'll have a runoff for mayor. It's a possibility. Ronnie Williams with a slight lead over Lee Posey. He's got 50% of the vote, or 2,091.
Yeah,
Lee
John,
Posey.
we're still waiting on what might be in 110, which might be a few votes in that
Uh-huh.
race. And then we're still waiting on.
Okay, so 13 is in. How about 4 and 4A? I believe they are in, aren't they?
They are.
Okay.
4 is in, and Ronnie Williams won that one.
Yeah.
85% of the vote. And 4A, he won 100% of the vote.
Okay.
In precinct 5, we covered that one. 5A, Williams won 81% of the vote. And in 6, we discussed that in 7, 8, 9, 9A had a total of 11 votes. I think there were some votes in 110, if I recall.
What about 1 and 1A?
They're in.
They're in. Okay.
Ronnie Williams won 1 with 115 votes, or 76%.
Mhm.
And in 1A, Lee Posey won with 34 votes, or 64% of that box.
Well, we have certainly, what we're looking at tonight is a change from the last two mayoral elections. The first time Lee Posey ran, he got 51% of the vote, or 2,400 votes,
With 3 people.
with 3 on the ballot. And this time he has 1,900 votes so far. And Lee Posey won in 2016 with 2,500, or 76% of the vote. And so Posey is not getting the same vote percentages or the same number of raw votes that he did both of the last 2 elections. Whether it's the fact that we're under some weird circumstances, the fact that the election was put off to late, you can't say it's because there was no interest, because there were no local elections. Because we had 3 hot city council races, and you had the mayor's race. So you can't use that one as your excuse. Let's see, we're waiting for an update. Let's see if we get any more votes, because you didn't have an update just any time now.
I just got
Sure.
what an update.
18 to 20 of 24 in the mayor's race, 18 to 24 in the at-large, 5 of 5. That's just 1 in Sylvia and Petite, and 9 of 12. That's the same in the District 4 races. So we'll just have to see those remaining ballot boxes and when they come in to see how the final results are going to be. And it's pretty much not totally decided, but the other parishes we're following tonight, Red River, Wynn, Jackson, and Sabine, it's not what was unexpected. The presidential preference primaries drew no advertising from either the Democrats or the Republicans. They basically, it was because the presidential primary occurs after the nominees have been pretty much wrapped up. It is presumed that Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic candidate for president, and it is presumed that...
I show that we're waiting on 10, 10A, and 10B.
Okay.
And there's only about 50 votes out there.
Okay, well, if
Those boxes.
that's the case, let's take a look at the mayor here. 50 votes will not give Lee Posey the edge, because that would put him...
We don't know that.
It's just an assumption. 50 votes would put him at just under 2,000, or just over 2,000 votes. And Ronnie Williams has 2,091.
Right.
So it may be time to call that city of Natchitoches election.
Oh, no.
We'll have to see if it's the final percentages is what matters.
Yeah, we're looking, if it falls below 50, then we're in a runoff.
Yeah.
If one of them stays just above 50, then we don't have a runoff.
So right now, you might say that Lee Posey would be voting for Mr. Keys to pull in about 40 votes in this last box. So, you just have to see how it comes in whenever we get an update. It's a pretty amazing system that the Secretary of State has set up. Mm-hmm. We now have a situation. Years ago, when I first got into radio news, like long time ago, we sent somebody to every precinct or to every voting place in the parish. And what you did, you didn't have a cell phone. You had to scope out a phone or go to a house next door or something like that. And you wrote down the totals, because they put them on a big sheet and plastered it on the door as they locked up and were on the way out. And so you call back to the radio station, and every radio station had their own tabulations. Well, now you take that little cartridge out of the machine, take it to the clerk of court's office and plug it in, and it lets the state computer know before it lets the people in the room know what was on that cartridge. So technology has really taken a large jump. We're waiting basically for 6 precincts to come in the mayor's race. We've got 18 of 24. Same situation in the councilman at large race. We've got 9 of 12 precincts in the District 4 councilman race, and District 3 is over, and we're going to have a runoff between Sylvia Morrow and Christopher Petit. And that's kind of where we are. This is Decision 2020 on the Natchitoches Parish, Red River Parish, Wynn Parish, Jackson Parish, and Sabine Parish Journals. And
We
are live
19
tonight.
of 24 in the mayor's race.
take a look, see, I can scroll up to that. There it is. And we have a little bit of a change. Lee Posey picked up 1% or 2. The raw vote now is Ronnie Williams with 2,091 and Lee Posey with 1954. So not much change there. Keys picked up a couple of votes also. Update in the councilman at large race. Betty Sawyer Smith looks like she stretched her lead a little bit. Now 54% to Don Mims is 46. In we know no change in District 4 at this point. So it's going to be, that's an outright election for the councilman at large because there are only 2 candidates. And it looks at this point that Betty Sawyer Smith may be our next city council person at large for the city of Natchitoches. And the mayor's race, still pretty tight, too tight to call. Ronnie Williams Jr. with 2,091 votes, or half of it, 50%. And Lee Posey with 1954, or 47%. And we still got several precincts out, like 5 precincts. Get any other information on the parish, Bill? Okay, let's see if there's anything to report in any of these other races.
We're still waiting on 10, 10A, and 10B.
Yeah.
The history shows there are very few votes in there in the past 2 elections.
Okay, Red River Parish is showing the complete results, and what we mentioned, they just had a presidential preference primary. And what we've been reporting all along, Donald Trump, the Republican primary, 98%. Joe Biden pulled 73%, so there were a couple of candidates, Michael Bennet with 4%, Bernie Sanders with 5%, so, and then the others with 1 or 2% here and there tended to take away, but Joe Biden overwhelming on the Democratic side of the parish. Total of 470 Democrats voted in Red River, and a total of 367 Republicans voted in Red River Parish. As we mentioned, that is a final. All the boxes are in there. Take a look over at Sabine, just for grins. Percentages are the same. Biden with 62% of the Democratic preference, and Donald Trump with 99%. For the Republican Party. And the Village of Florine, we announced this a little bit earlier, it's over, and Herman Love elected the new chief of police of the Village of Florine, defeating Jackson Clavin, and Love pulling 71% of the vote there. See if we have an update on anything in Natchitoches. Let's see, we're up to 20, oh, that's the wrong thing. 19 precincts, okay, we reported that one. 19 precincts, 5 of 5, and 9 of 12. So nothing new to report on the latest update from Natchitoches Parish. And of the parishes we're following, the only one that the vote is complete is Red River. And it'll be interesting to see. There wasn't that great a voter turnout for presidential preference primary only. But in Red River, let's see if it will become a heated issue on the fire department tax early renewal or not. That will be up on the election in August the 11th. That update passed with no change. In the city of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams leads Lee Posey 50 to 47%. Councilman at large, Betty Smith leads Don Mims 54 to 46%. So there will be an upset, a change of incumbent there.
And John, we seem to be waiting on 4 8 and 4-1. There's some city dwellers in those boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then 110, 10A, and 10B. Now, it's in the past, well, they weren't in 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In the past.
Okay. In the Council 3 district, we are going to have a runoff. So far, that's the only, so far that's the only runoff. There may be a possibility of a runoff in the mayor's race.
Yes.
And also a possibility of runoff in District 4. So we could have three issues or 3 candidates here for the next race. Still waiting on the final boxes. We've got 3 boxes out, 3 precincts out in District 4, and that race at this time has Rosemary Washington on top, 30% of the vote, or 267. Excuse me, that's James Belo on top with 32% of the vote, or 283. Rosemary Washington second place, 30% or 267, and Lawrence Baptiste, the incumbent District 4 councilman, with 20% of the vote, or 178. That is probably too large a lead for Mr. Baptiste to make up and to get into the runoff unless something just extraordinarily happens. But there are a couple of precincts, 3 precincts still out in that race. And if you've been following the presidential preferences in Natchitoches Parish, the results are overwhelming in favor of the 2 presumptive nominees. Joe Biden pulling 77% of the Democratic vote from a very large field of candidates. President Donald Trump with 94% of the Republican vote, again in a field of 5 candidates. The others...
in the last election, 4-1 and 4-8 only yielded 27 votes. And right now, Mr. Williams is ahead of Mr. Posey by 137.
So that would be probably no chance to cover that discrepancy, right?
Well, then you have to look at these 3 other boxes, which are about 36 and 26 is 50, 62 and 13 is 75. So 75, it'd be really close.
It would be really close. You are correct there. David Keyes is not pulling enough votes to pull down Ronnie Williams. And so...
he would have been pulling them from Posey.
Yeah. But Ronnie Williams is sitting at 50%. I know the computer rounds it off. We would have to say, well, I tell you what, I got my magic.
It's 50 point, I just did it. Hold on.
Take 4201 minus 2091 and see if that's 50% or not.
Divided by what?
Divided by 4201.
It's 49,773.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Is that really the number?
Yeah. According to this.
No. It's 3,003. Oh, yeah, I'm back to 16. Sorry, I was answering the other question.
Okay. The total votes counted in the mayor's race, 4201, and Ronnie Williams has 2,02091. So divide that by the total counted.
497,733. But then that's just rounding, I guess. Oh, wait a minute, what's the...
Yeah, he has less than...
in the raw vote, he's ahead by 137 votes.
Mm-hmm. But even though it says 50% for Ronnie Williams on our chart here, he actually has .497. You could round that up to 50%, but you have to have 50% plus 1 vote. And so just take the 4201, let's do it that way, 4201, and divide that by 2. That's
Okay.
50% is 2,100 votes. She has 2,091. This says you'd have to have 2,100, so he's 9 votes short.
There are enough votes for Ronnie to lose enough to be in a runoff.
Yeah, but it's it's going to be one of these hair in my chinny chin chin.
Nail biter.
Yes, a real close one, and If we were in Chicago, that vote box, it'd take them till at least 4 or 5 in the morning to count those 14 votes in that ballot box. But things are a little bit more up to date here in River City. So we just have to see how that comes in. We should have another update in a few seconds. Just kind of scroll down to see if the computer picks it up. Well, it just updated, but there were no additional votes there. So let's just recap for you where we stand right now. It's almost over in the mayor's race. 19 of 24 precincts. There are 5 outstanding. And incumbent Lee Posey has 47% of the vote. He trails challenger Ronnie Williams with 50%.
Posey's in the runoff.
So you figure it.
15 votes. He's in. There's a runoff. I mean, we can't call it like
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah, it looks very much like there's going to be a runoff between Ronnie Williams and Lee Posey. And so the mayor's race will probably heat up a little bit. Just waiting for those extra results. It's all over in District 3. Incumbent Sylvia Morrow came in second, and she has represented that district for at least 3 terms that I recall, and has survived many challenges to that seat. And Sylvia Morrow will be in a runoff with Christopher Pettit. Christopher with 45% and Sylvia Morrow with 43%. And we
can't call it, but the mayor's race will be a runoff.
Well, we can call that District 3 race. Yeah, Bill is right that we can't say for sure, but it looks like there will be a runoff in the mayor's race. When the raw vote count comes in, that'll be unofficial. By the way, this is all unofficial. On Tuesday, it used to be in the good old days when you had a different type of voting machine which actually produced a paper trail of how things voted. You would go in on Tuesday and everybody with all their party officials and the poll watchers and all would go to the voting machine warehouse and they would open them up. Well, nowadays, with the technology, the votes are all stored on a computer card, and that card is taken out and it's taken to the clerk of court's office, and whatever it says gets fed into the system, the same one that we're looking at. And when you take that card back out to the voting machine warehouse for the canvassing of the votes on Tuesday, it's going to say the same thing, or it should say the same thing as this. We do have all of the votes in now. Just got an update. In 24 of 24 precincts are reporting. Ronnie Williams pulled 49%, or 2,092 votes. And Lee Posey, 47%, or 1,985. So we've got a runoff. Let me just see what the raw.
It looks like he would be at 49.773.
That's what it says. That's what it says. So 4239 is the total number of votes that were cast. Divide that by 2, and to win you need 2119, and he got 2,092.
Yeah.
So runoff in the mayor's race.
Is that 2 runoffs?
Or 3. The final is in, and Don Mims has been defeated. He was ousted by Betty Sawyer Smith for the city council, councilman at large for the city of Natchitoches. Betty Smith drawing a total of 2,197 votes, or 54%. Don Mims pulled 46%, or 1,905. We've already reported Sylvia Morrow in a runoff with Christopher Pettit for District 3. District 4 is in now, and we can tell you that James Belo Jr. was the top vote getter by just a little bit. He came in first with 32% of the vote, or 294. Second place, Rosemary Washington with 31%, or 279. Third place was Lawrence Baptiste with 20%, or 182. And in fourth place, Walter Johnson Sr., 17% of the vote, or 151.
Lee Posey's on the phone, and we all understand that he's in a runoff.
Hello, Lee. This is John Brewer. How you doing?
Hey, John. How you doing?
Well, congratulations, I guess, for getting in the runoff.
Well, yes, happy to be there. It was not sounded like for a little bit I wanted to be in there. So,
Well, as things turned out, you pulled 47%, and Ronnie Williams produced 49%. And so the two of you will go at it again on the ballot in August.
yes,
So,
we will.
so best of luck.
Well, John, I appreciate it, and we're just going to all get out and let the people choose who they want to be their next mayor for Natchez. But we're going to do what we got to do, just like Ronnie will. So
Good, yeah.
Okay.
It's politics is good sport, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yes,
It
it's
is.
It's not a bad thing at all.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks for being
All right,
with
thank
us.
you.
That's
I appreciate it.
Mayor Lee Posey with us on the broadcast, and yes, he at the very last box when the final tally came in, that's what put him into the runoff. Again, 49% for Ronnie Williams, or 2,092. For Lee Posey, 47%, or 1,985. We still don't have the Village of Powhatan in yet. We have council at large. Don Mims has been defeated by Betty Sawyer Smith. She got 54% of the vote, or 2,197. For District 3, Christopher Petit with 45%, or 237. Sylvia Morrow with 43%, or 228 votes. Those two will be in the runoff. And then the third runoff will be in Councilman District 4 for the city of Natchitoches. And that was a much closer race between the top two. James Belo Jr., 294 votes, and Rosemary Washington, 279. So we're talking about less than 20 votes. I believe it is, as my fifth grade math doesn't fail me too bad. We'll have the runoff, though, between James Belo and Rosemary Washington. So there will be some excitement about the next election. And it doesn't hurt to repeat that at this point, but the early voting for the next election will begin on the 25th of July. And that will take place, of course, at the Registrar of Voters office, as the other early voting does. It'll be a 2-week-long period, and the election will follow on Saturday, August the 11th. And I guess we'll be back here, Bill. You're not going anywhere in August, are you?
No, but hold on, I think Ronnie's getting ready to call.
Okay. See if we can get a word with Ronnie Williams, who polled the most votes, but not quite enough to put him over that 50% to be elected directly. Quick check around. Let's see what the other parishes are doing. Let's see. I believe Wynn Parish is complete. All they had was the presidential preference. President Trump won the Republican with 99%. Joe Biden won the Democratic primary with 77%. In Red River Parish, all the votes there are in. And we had a similar situation. President Trump, 98% for the Republican primary, 73% for Joe Biden on the Democratic presidential primary. I believe we've got, okay, we're going to have Ronnie Williams on the phone. Okay.
All right, we're waiting.
Let's see what we got here. I believe we're trying to line up.
Okay, hold on, Ronnie. Here is
Yeah.
John Brewer.
Mr. Vance, how you doing?
I'm
Hey.
good, thank you.
Ronnie, this is John Brewer, and you're on live with us this evening. Congratulations for pulling the most votes in the mayor's race.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Our tally shows you had 49, just a little bit short, but that gets you into the runoff for August the 11th. So, first of all, what's your comments to your voters on this day's results?
And is it August 15th?
Something like that. I don't have my
Okay.
calendar in front of me.
Well, look, we worked hard. We gave our very best, is what we said. You know, we're just going to have to go back out there again, try to touch as many voters as we can, let them know what we're about. Since the very beginning, we've been about transparency, good government, We've been about bringing better jobs here that pay a livable wage. We've been about, innovation in government, especially in terms of reducing crime and solving crime. So we're just going to have to go back out there and work a little bit harder than we did before. But it's really given me a great experience to know what the citizens, the residents of Natchitoches want. And I've got a great understanding of that. And we're just going to move forward with that, head into the runoff. And we're going to win.
Yeah,
I believe we're going to win it.
Okay, well, my question is, does today's results give you even more energy going forward?
I think it does. I mean, nobody really, when we qualified back in January, nobody really thought that, we would be here, especially going against an incumbent. But we will come in. We're going in this, runoff election with the aim, of course, to win it. And we're going to win it not for me. We're going to do it for Natchitoches, to put Natchitoches in a better place.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ronnie Williams, our guest on the broadcast this evening. And again, Ronnie pulled 49% of the vote, just a few votes short, and he got 2,092 votes to Lee Posey's 1,985, and those two gentlemen will be in your runoff. And he is correct. I was stabbing in the dark. I did dig out a calendar, and the runoff election is Saturday, August the 15th. But again, I do know that the early voting starts on the 25th of July, and so let me fill my cheater up here. Saturday the 25th of July, the early voting will end on Saturday, August the 6th, and then the next Saturday is Election Day. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to vote early. You can request that mail ballot. Some of the people that requested the mail ballot signed up to get them on every election from now on. So if you would rather vote by mail, you can certainly do that.
This is Don Mims.
All right. Hello, Don. This is John Brewer.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good.
A little bit of I know that this is what you weren't expecting to lose. A little bit of a surprise, was it not?
No, I can see the organization and the work that the community's done for Betty, and she's worked hard at trying to move it forward. So it's okay. She wants it. I think she deserves it. She worked for it. I'm looking forward to see how she does in the city.
All right. Well, thank you for putting up a great campaign, and thank you for wishing your opponent well.
Oh, I wish her well, absolutely, because if she does well, the city will do well, and that's what I want. That's the biggest hope I can have.
All right, Don. Thank you very much for talking with us this evening.
Okay, man.
All right. Thank you, Don. Don Mims, who came out just a little bit short, pulling only 46% of the vote to Betty Sawyer Smith's 54%. And as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Ms. Smith had a kind of a running start as far as name recognition, as far as honing her politics, because she ran in the clerk of courts race 4 years ago, did not come out on top, but she ran and got that experience, which I'm sure it was part of the building process and part of the learning process on running a campaign, because every campaign is different. Okay, let's go ahead and do a recap real quick on the vote in Natchitoches Parish here in Decision 2020. For mayor, we're going to have a runoff on August the 15th between Ronnie James Williams and Lee Posey. For the councilman from District 3, let me scroll down to it. We'll have a runoff between Christopher Petit
Please
and
let them know that
Sylvia Morrow.
we called the two numbers for them, but they went unanswered.
Okay. For Sylvia and Christopher?
Yep.
Yeah, we attempted to reach them and we're not able to do so, but we're going to have a runoff, so we'll have a chance to talk to them before the next election. In District 4, the runoff, and actually turned out a pretty close race there. Rosemary Washington and James Belo Jr. will be in the runoff for District 4. Well, that's about it. Across the parishes that we're following tonight, Sabine, Jackson, Wynn, and Red River, and Natchitoches, the presidential preference primary went as you probably could have guessed it would. Donald Trump taking the majority of votes. in most cases above 90% in the Republican primary. Joe Biden pulling in the 70 percentiles in every parish in the Democratic primary, and that's probably the way the race is going to face off. I believe it's November the 3rd when we do have, in fact, I'm going to check my calendar just to make
So
sure.
when's the runoff?
The runoff is August the 15th, and Tuesday, November the 3rd, will be the presidential election, and we're going to start everything else because, I mean, the U.S. representatives will be elected and a whole bunch of local races also. If you've ever thought about running, check your list, check with your clerk of court or your registrar of voters and get the list of offices that are going to be up. They're different for every parish.
Why don't we try to reach David Stamey here?
Okay.
He's
See if
been
you can get
working all
him.
day since 6 a.m. probably.
Well, he's probably ready for a nap by now. I
Sure he
certainly
is.
would be. But that's the qualification period. If you've got a desire to run it and get out and serve the people and get into local politics, then this is your opportunity. All right.
David Stamey.
Hey, David, this is John Brewer.
Hey, John, how you doing?
It's good. You know,
Good.
I've heard, David, that every day is football season. How many times did you say that?
Somewhere, it's football season. They're playing right now somewhere.
Hey, different role for you this time. How'd the election go in your opinion?
You know, John, we had great candidates who worked hard, and some close races. It's going to be very, I think it's going to be interesting on how we go forward. The mayor's race being so close, that just tells me it's going to be close again. There was no surprises in that Donald Trump easily won the Republican vote in Natchitoches Parish, and Joe Biden easily won the Democratic vote in Natchitoches Parish. It's a long day at the clerk's office. We were here about 5:30 this morning, and we've been dealing with folks since then. And our machines are older, but we've got great technicians that keep them going. We still at the clerk's office. We're finishing up forms and submitting stuff to the Secretary of State's office, and we'll have the final vote. We'll recheck the voting machines on Tuesday morning. Then we certify the election Thursday morning. So that's when everything becomes official Thursday morning. But it's been a long day, but it's a good day. We got lots of learning done, and just a few little minor problems. We had 2 precincts that lost electricity from 4 to 6, but with the battery backups that we have on our machines, they continue to perform with no problem. As some of the commissioners in charge will tell you, their AC wasn't working real well, so
Yeah.
we brought them fans, but it was a long but a good day, and we'll do it again on August 15th, which is a
Okay.
Saturday. So I guess it's 5 weeks from today. We will have 2 runoffs in the district council person seats.
That's
And
three,
we'll have a
3 and
mayor's
4.
runoff. That's right. So 3 and 4, and the mayor will all do it again on August 15th.
Now, I know you haven't been clerk of court way back in the dark ages when we did things on those old great big clunker of machines.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But technology has, the way I want to ask it, are you seeing an improvement in the accuracy of the first count compared to the official count?
Absolutely. We have been right on the money the last 4 years, and it's because they do a great job. They have super programmers and super programs, and we're just right on the money. In fact, when we go check, as we call it, breaking the seals at the warehouse on Tuesday, I anticipate no change in any race. And that's a credit to the Secretary of State's office that does just such a good job. And Louisiana may not be number one in a whole lot of things, but I don't know that anybody does elections any more accurate and fair than the state of Louisiana. It's really a pleasure to deal with the good folks from the Secretary of State's office. That is a fact.
All right. Well, David, I know you are anxious to wrap it up tonight. We'll let you go, but thank you for coming on and summing things up tonight.
I appreciate you letting all the folks in our area know the results.
All right. Thank you, David. It's David Stamey, our clerk of court, and he has, as he said, been there since 5 o'clock this morning. Well, folks, I think it's just about over, except we're going to bring the fat lady in. But wait a minute. We have an update. That one precinct in Powhatan is in. Your new mayor of Powhatan, the Honorable Hardrick Rivers.
Oh, well, that's...
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if he'll play at his own inauguration party. Hardrick Rivers, the final vote count in Powhatan for mayor, 70% or 21 votes, and Jamaica Neal with 30% or 9 votes. And let's just put a word in here that you want to participate. And you hear all kinds of stories. Yeah, your vote counts, and people say, my vote doesn't count. There's nothing important. Well, ask Mr. Neal or Mr. Rivers if the votes count, because in the total vote in Powhatan, there were 30 ballots cast. And so if you voted one vote in Powhatan, that's a pretty good percentage of the total votes. So there you have it. Again, in Natchitoches, runoff in the mayor's race between Ronnie Williams and Lee Posey, the incumbent. In District 3, runoff between the incumbent, Sylvia Morrow, and Christopher Petit. And in District 4, runoff between James Below Jr. By the way, the incumbent lost in District 4. That was Lawrence Baptiste. But the runoff is between James Below and Rosemary Washington. And those elections will take place on the 15th of August. Let me check with Bill to see if we got any final things.
Hold on.
Okay, we've got one more update for you here.
We'll keep going. It'll take a minute. She's having phone problems.
Okay. This is Betty Smith, is that right? Yeah, Miss.
Yeah, she's having problems. She's
Okay.
trying to find another phone.
Okay, we'll try to get in touch because we do want to hear from Miss Smith. She won the councilman at large seat outright, defeating Don Mims 2197 to 1,905 votes. So she pulled a full 54% in that two-person race. Otherwise, the only race for actual office in Red River, Wynn, Jackson, or Sabine parishes, the other parishes we're following tonight where our parish journals are, was at the village of Florine, and I'm going to have to get over there to see. I believe Mr. Love won that one, but let's just make sure.
I wanted to call you so John could interview you live. Could you talk to him?
Yes, Herman Love won 71% or 97 votes to Jackson Kelvin's 40%.
Okay, hold on. I will. John,
All
we
right.
have Betty Smith on the phone.
All right, excellent. Oh, I can hear the excitement. Somebody's
excitement. Oh, thank you.
Somebody's excited about what in the world would you be excited about? Congratulations, Miss Smith.
Thank you.
Bet it was an exciting race, wasn't it?
It was a very exciting race. Yes, it was. It was, and it was. I just thank everybody, the whole Natchitoches community, for being involved in this particular race.
Okay,
It came out and it showed out.
Well, you have probably the biggest job among the council people because you've got to represent everybody in the city limits.
And I plan to do that to the fullest.
Now, I don't know exactly. Do you know the date that you'll be sworn in? Is that
No, I do not know the exact date of swearing in.
Well, the COVID delays have confused me, but I was thinking it's usually around the first of the year
No, it's the 21st
of
of
January.
this month.
21st of this month?
They don't have to wait
Oh, okay.
because we're
Okay.
living in an extended time.
Bill is telling me that that it'll be the 21st of the month.
Oh, okay,
So-
great. The 21st of this month. Okay.
Even though
That's
the
my
other,
understanding is
yeah.
as soon as it's certified.
and even though the other races aren't finished, because the runoff won't happen till next month. But
Right.
we live in strange days. Well, Ms. Smith, congratulations. Have you any particular things that you want to introduce that you think that the people want to make a change in Natchitoches?
The things that I've been hearing most that people want to see is change, is more jobs here. And everybody, talks about streets. And yes, we have terrible streets. And that's one of the issues that I also would like to tackle. And employment, bringing in more businesses here for people to have better paying jobs. That's one of the main things I want to tackle. And just make so people have a better way of living.
And that more jobs is tough right now.
Yes, I know that
Because
is.
we
I
got
know
the
that
partial
is.
shutdown, and
Yes.
so we'll just have to see how that works out. But I wish you the
And
best
I
of
just want
luck.
to listen to the people and see what it is they want. I like I said, I'm their voice. What
Okay.
they want, and I will work hard to try to make it happen.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Smith. and
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck as you take over that new position. That's Betty Sawyer Smith, who defeated Don Mims for the council person at large, or I guess it's still councilman at large is the title of the office. But she'll be representing the entire city of Natchitoches on the city council. So, we had an exciting night. Want to thank all of you for being along with us. The votes in all of our areas pretty much wrapped up. We've been about it. If you were following the presidential preference primaries, there was never any doubt. Donald Trump on the Republican side and Joe Biden on the Democratic side in all of our parishes and statewide also. And here in Natchitoches, we end up with a runoff in the mayor's race between Ronnie Williams and Lee Posey. We end up with a new council person at large in Betty Sawyer Smith defeating Don Mims, the incumbent. We end up with a runoff in District 3, longtime incumbent Sylvia Morrow pulling just slightly fewer votes than Christopher Petit, and those two will run it off on the 15th of August. And Lawrence Batiste, the incumbent District 4 council person, lost out tonight. He finished third in the race. James Belo Jr. and Rosemary Washington are going to be in a runoff. And that's it for tonight. This has been a presentation of all of the journals, Natchitoches, Red River, Sabine, Wynn, and Jackson. We thank you for joining us. This is Decision 2020. We'll see you again on August the 15th. So have a very pleasant weekend, everybody.